Good evening and welcome to Axiom Flux, Season 4, Episode 13. And today's date is the 4th of February 2018. And we're going to talk about the FISA Memo, the Republican memo that was released. Anyway, I'm hosting it tonight, STAV. And we've got also join us, we've got Predator Jeff. Evening, Jeff.
Hi, Stav. You all right, mate?
Yeah, you're eating chocolate again.
Yes, I am indeed.
Jolly good, enjoy. And we also got all the way from the USSA again, is LOPI. Evening, LOPI.
Hello, my darlings.
How are you, all right?
I'm sorry, I'm eating popcorn.
Oh, another one eating chocolate. It's got
No,
to be banned.
it's not chocolate, it's toffee popcorn.
All right, okay, well, enjoy. And we've also got PJ as well this evening. Evening, PJ.
Evening, guys. Hold on. A peanut stuck in my tooth. Mr. Tom.
Everybody's eating apart from Stab. Never mind. I'll have to buy some teeth. Anyway, with that, I'm going to move on. What we're going to do is, like I said, talk about the FISA memo. Now, there is a lot of people going into debt big time on this, and with the Trump administration, deep state, etc., challenge, whatever you want to call it. And there's obviously a lot of people that you could probably get a lot more information in depth wise than I can or us this evening. But we're just going to lay it out in a kind of way that if nobody doesn't know anything about it, at least they get the gist of what's going on. So what I'll do is I'll kick you off. I'll play a video. Well, not a video actually. I'll read an article, and I'll try and share my screen. I think I'd be used to this by now. And there we go. Right. Okay. We've got an article here. Hopefully, I'll just check with the boys and girls. Are we screen sharing?
All good. That's perfect. That, yeah.
All good. Okay, well, this is an article. It's only brief about basically what the memo is about. So we'll get on with that. It gives you some idea. I've got a little video which Jeff's going to play for me on here because my audio is not very good. So anyway, come on, Ron, if you're out there, you're going to come on. Hopefully, we'll have an expert if Ron comes on. Anyway, it's called it's Republican Memo, what you need to know about alleged FBI and DOJ abuses. This is from the Honourable Devin Nunes, Chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, United States Capitol, Washington, D.C. Okay, the four-page memo compiled by the GOP Chair of the House Intelligence Committee accuses the FBI and DOJ under the Obama administration of securing a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign based on the notorious Steele dossier. Declassified by President Donald Trump and published by the committee Friday over strong objections by Democrats, the DOJ and the FBI, the memo lays out the origins of the warrant to spy on Trump advisor Carter Page in the dossier funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign. The so-called Steele dossier formed an essential part of the FISA probable cause order obtained by the FBI from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC, on October the 21st, 2016. The warrant was extended 3 times, also on the basis of the Steele dossier. There's a little bit here from Nunes. Dear Mr. Chairman, on the 29th of January 2018, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, hereinafter the committee voted to disclose publicly a memorandum containing classified information provided to the committee in connection with its oversight activities. The memorandum, which is attached to this letter, as provided by Clause 11 G of Rule X of the House of Representatives, the committee has forwarded this memorandum to the President based on its determination that the releases of the memorandum would serve the public interest. The Constitution vests the President with the authority to protect national security secrets from disclosure, as the Supreme Court has recognized. It is the President's responsibility to classify, declassify, and control access to information bearing on our intelligence sources and methods of national defense. In order to facilitate appropriate congressional oversight, the executive branch may entrust classified. Well, there we are. Then Director James Comey signed the 3 FISA applications in question on behalf of the FBI, and Deputy Director Andrew McCabe signed one. The document says the Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, then Deputy AG Dana Buente, and DAG Rod Rosenstein also signed one or more FISA applications on behalf of the Department of Justice. Comey testified in June 2017 that the Steele dossier was salacious and unverified, yet McCabe himself testified in December 2017 that no FISA warrant would have been sought without the dossier, according to the document. Rosenstein is currently the Deputy Attorney General who is in charge of all aspects of the Russian investigation after AG Jeff Sessions recused himself due to potential conflict of interests. Yates was formally fired by Trump in January 2017 after she defied his executive order of a temporary travel ban. McCabe abruptly stepped down Monday, taking all his leave prior to his official retirement in March. Neither in the initial application in October 2016, nor any of the renewals disclosure or reference to the role of the DNC, Clinton campaign, or any party campaign in funding Steele's efforts, even though the political origins of Steele's dossier were then known to senior DOJ and FBI officials, the memo notes. Steele's work was paid for by Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm retained by Clinton campaign in April 2016 via the Democratic National Committee and the law in Perkins Coie. Notably, the FISA application does not mention at any point that Steele was working for Fusion GPS or that the company and its principal, Glenn Simpson, were on the payroll of the Democrats, the memo says. Furthermore, the original FISA application cited extensively a September the 23rd, 2016 Yahoo News article by Michael Isikoff, which was based on information provided by Steele himself, while Steele has admitted in UK court filings that the Met with Yahoo and other outlets, the FISA application incorrectly assesses that Steele did not provide Yahoo News with the information according to the memo. Before the FBI severed ties with Steele on October the 30th due to his public revelations of his relationship with Mother Jones magazine, Steele had maintained contact with Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce in a September 2016 meeting. The memo notes Steele told he was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. Orr's wife, Nellie, worked for Fusion GPS at the time. Though Orr provided the FBI with all of his wife's research, the memo says that the Orr's relationship with Fusion GPS and Steele was inexplicably concealed from FISA. While the FISA application relied on Steele's past record of credible reporting on the other unrelated matters, it ignored and concealed his anti-Trump financial and ideological motivations, the memo argues. The very last point of the memo notes that FBI counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign was initiated by FBI agent Peter Strzok in July 2016, based on information regarding Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. Yet there is no evidence of any cooperation or conspiracy between Page and Papadopoulos, the memo notes. Strzok, I can't pronounce that, doesn't matter, was eventually assigned to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team, but demoted and resigned to the Human Resources Department after discovering his text with FBI attorney Lisa Page, no relation to Carter, with whom he was having an extramarital relationship. In the text, they both demonstrated a clear bias against Trump and in favour of Clinton, with Strzok also investigated. The memo says, adding that Strzok's page text also reflect extensive discussions about the investigation, orchestrating leaks to the media, and include a meeting with Deputy Director McCabe to discuss an insurance policy against President Trump's election. The memorandum is dated January the 18th, and its classified version was available to members of the House of Representatives on January 29th. The committee voted along party lines to make the memorandum public. President Trump approve its declassification for Friday. Almost there. I think it's terrible, if you want to know the truth, Trump said about the contents of the memo. After approving its publication, I think it's a disgrace. A lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that, Trump added. Let's see what happens. So if you kept with me on that, that's very much a very, very basic look at this FISA memo. It's far more complicated than that, and far more in depth, and there's a lot of other people that explain it much better than me. But the basic idea of it is really outlined there, that this they obviously tried all illegal, corrupt ways to stop Trump from becoming the president. And the Russian, or the Steele dossier, which was an MI6, I think he worked for, a British agent working in cahoots with the Clintons et al. To drag up and cook up the Russia Gate, whatever you want to call it, which there's no factual evidence ever been found, to discredit Trump in such a way that he could never win. I think that's why Nancy Pelosi said Trump will never be president. You can bet on it, or something to almost those lines. So she ended up with egg on her face at least, and that pleased me. It's a horrible woman. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Jeff, do you want to play that video now?
Yeah, okay. Right. Can you?
Hang on. I've got to stop sharing first. 1 minute. Bear with me. It's a bit complicated. This. Present to everyone. Right, click your little green arrow and away you go, Jeff.
Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Share. Hide. Hang on. Right. I'm just getting that up now. Well, attempting to. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Can you see that okay?
Yep, that's it, Jeff. Away you go.
All right. Here we go. 30-second video.
I think it's because the memo was sent to Congress. It was declassified. Congress will do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that and you see that and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that. So I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was a very brief video there from the Donald. All right, so if I switch that off and then stop the screen share. How do I stop the screen share?
Yeah, just Stav needs to take you off presenting now.
Okay. There you go, Stav.
No worries, Jeff. No worries, mate. Well, there you are. I mean, I'll open it up to see what you guys have got to say. I mean, that's very limited in the article, but it gives you a rough idea on the limited side what's going on. Obviously, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg of what's been going on with the Clinton Foundation, etc., etc., etc. And it runs very, very deep. And if we ever get to even 1/10 of exposure from what is being covered up, I think even a lot in the alternative media are going to be surprised with what comes out. That's saying something. So, you need to say, Jeff?
I'd like to say a couple things. I like the idea that this memo was declassified and the facts are going to be seen. Problem I have is the Department of Justice, the courts of America are a bit of a fraud. Because if they were doing their job, they would have held Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama and his wife Michelle for treason against the country years ago. And it wouldn't just now be coming about, you know, all the nasty things that they were really up to. A lot of people don't like Trump because he's being honest, to at least to a point. He's bringing out, he's saying things that people don't want to hear. He's making truth be known. You know, all the little pantsuit Clinton dry, you know, whatever you call it. Oh, she's really my president. People, they're gonna wake up eventually, and they're gonna realize that Trump was right. And hopefully, when they wake up, that's gonna be when, after Clinton is Queen of Gitmo in her own little padded cell. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a Clinton fan, never will be. But truth be known, you know, I think that this is the beginning of a lot of truths out there that's been hidden for quite some time, and the American people and the world didn't know about because they were fed crap and told lies.
Okay, Lopi, that's good. I agree with you on what you said. And I think a lot of people would take it even further. But that's about it. I think when if it does, I mean, who knows? Who knows? If it does break and you know the dam starts to go, it's going to be a hell of a mess. And it's not going to just be in America. It's going to expose a lot of these associates of what they call a deep state, shadow governments or whatever. It's not just going to expose the American one. It's going to expose every single others throughout the world, because this deep state business, from what I've read and what I understand from what I've read, it's across the whole board. It's all governments, even especially in Africa, but little banana republics that have been bought off and pushed into debt by the International Monetary Fund, etc., 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 with the economic hitman system.
I agree with you. A lot of things are going to start coming out. Unfortunately, a lot of people are either going to end up missing or die because there seems to be status quo with anybody that has anything to do with the hiding of information or the goings-ons of Hillary Clinton. The last person that that was helping with her campaign and whatever, something to do with the Russia fake blame and all that, ended up dead. He went missing and was found dead. You know, other people that was in her irons of deceit and espionage end up missing. You know, lots of people are going to be missing or dead soon because she's got a lot to hide.
Yeah, wasn't there Zeph Rich, who was a Democratic, something to do with running the Democratic Party, and I think it was Zeph Rich, his name was, and he disappeared. He was only a young fellow, wasn't that old? And,
yeah.
he met with an unfortunate end, because I think he wanted to just get a lot of this out, what was really going on in the Democrats. I mean, but they're so far sheepish. This is the thing I don't understand. You know, all of a sudden, these Democrats and liberals and whatever you want to call them in America, it's very similar here. We call them far left. Socialists, I call them bordering communists, but there we are. That's just my thoughts. But they're so far gone to the left, you know, that they'll accept anything from the powers that be. Something that, you know, a few years ago these liberals were meant to be standing up against. Now they're pro warmongers, like, you know, and it's like, what on earth is going on? So, but you know, this is all planned, and I think a lot of these are much. Their bark is bigger than their bite. They truck these people around with these NGOs like Soros and his organisation, paid lots of money, and these kids get to have a bit of money and go around and do what they like, and to put protests up and boards and things. And I think it's much smaller than it looks, and it's really pumped up by the mainstream media, which is far left liberals. It's unbelievable. And of course, that's most of the mainstream. So,
I think,
yeah,
you basically nailed it on the head about Democrats over here. The powers that be, the leaders of the democratic world, and I'm saying democratic world because Democrats basically think they run the world, at least here in America, they are the generals of sheep. And here recently, the problem with that is they see all these people that have flocked to them because they're mindless. They're not well, the majority of them are not intelligent. If that offends you or anybody out there, I'm sorry. Guilty conscience. But most of the people, most of the Democrats, like you said, they just listen to what they're told and yay! They don't research. They don't think. They don't have common sense to rationalize, you know, things, putting things together. You know, they don't do that. They just say, Clinton says, oh, he's a bad, oh, Russia ruined the election. Well, okay, and all the Democrats believed her. And what did they do? They had protests. They're still protesting. You know, it's been how long now since we had the election? And they're still protesting because of something Clinton said, because she decided to throw her dummy out her pram. You know, they are generals of sheep. That's it. They mindless sheep. And I can't say the Republicans are too much better, but you know, Democrats seem to take the trophy.
they do indeed. I think that's what. Well, just from where I sit and observe things, I totally agree with you. Let me see if I can get Jeff in on it. Anything you want to say, Jeff?
Yeah, well, as you know, Stav, I've been researching this topic for at least, you know, about 17 years. And I'd just like to say that this is not the topic that I would have liked to have discussed tonight. I was more intent on discussing the nature of spam, baked beans, chips, with a side helping of spam, 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 and spam. But I've scratched my head to think about what to discuss in an intellectual manner on this show tonight, and I've come to the conclusion that the Department of Injustice, as I like to know it, will probably let them get off with a slap wrist, and probably get retired off with a nice big pension at the taxpayer's expense, like they usually do. But apart from that, no, I haven't really got anything to say.
Yeah, okay, Jeff. Well, you probably be right, but I suppose really, if they're removed from their position, then yeah, go and play a round of golf and lay in the sun and piss off. At least that's something, I guess. But they're not. They won't do that. They won't do that. You see, the thing is, Jeff, their nature and their culture, which is like, I don't know, like something from out of the solar system, is that they can't leave it like that. They can't. Their life is to interfere, corrupt, manipulate, maneuver, misrepresent, control, all of these things. So they won't go. They won't go. I think it's going to take a battering ram to shift them. I don't think they're just going to be held up in, they won't go quietly. That's what I think. So I think it's going to ship will hit the fan if it continues. The only thing I can say about it is if it stops and everybody goes back to allowing the world to be run by endless criminal gangs called Wall Street and the financial markets of the world, the Federal Reserves, the central banking system, the corrupt fiat system. If people are happy with that to carry on spinning round and they wear their little toes out on the hamster wheel, and if they're lucky, they won't live long enough to collect a pension, I guess it will carry on. But we'll see. But I can't see any of them going quietly, whether that be the right side of things with Trump or the ultra left liberals. I just think there's going to be some type of event.
I'm a political atheist, and I can't see anything changing anytime soon. It's a lot of theatre in it, and the rules of stage, as Shakespeare liked to say. I think that sums it up nicely, but I can't see anything changing anytime soon. I think what Trump should have done when he got into office, he should have stuck by what he said he was going to do and throw Clinton in jail. And, I think that.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, the thing is, he will. I mean, I'm like yourself. I'm a party political atheist and political atheist myself. I've been for quite a long time. And, I'd like to say, something's going to happen. And if it does, I'm a glass half empty, which is not very positive to a lot of people. I just think if something happens, it would be really nice to see a few people go down with a few life sentences. That would be something. A lot of people would like to see a lot more done than that. But there we are. I just think that, if it's possible that it collapses the EU or helps the collapse of the EU a little bit quicker, then that'd be great. Because I think there's a lot in this to come out about them. If it gets out, there is the evidence there. We know it. We could find it if we were allowed to go and look for it. We could catch a bus somewhere and go to a record office, I'm sure, if we were allowed entry and find all this stuff and put them away for a quadzillion years. But again, the justice system, that's rigged, as we know. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm like you, a political atheist, until something comes along which perhaps renders the system obsolete, like we've covered before. I don't want to distract too far. We'll try and keep it, even though you're not too keen on the subject, as best we can, just for this evening. Grim and bear it. And I think there's some talking. I was hoping there might be one or two guys come on tonight that were really into the exposing and stuff with the QAnon posts and the Patriots and what they're doing. I think if nothing happens, there's going to be a lot of pissed off Patriots, and I don't think that's going to pass smooth. I don't think they're just going to.
Funny that you say Patriots, because I know you're talking about, a political people, a body of people, but it's the New England Patriots, and I believe it's the Philadelphia Eagles or somebody like that. that's playing in the Super Bowl here in America as we speak. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Ah, yes, but I meant they call themselves patriots, don't they? You know.
Yeah,
Um,
and it just tickled my funny bone that when because I'm not into American football, but Patriots is like, oh wait, Super Bowl.
well, listen, something might happen there tonight. There might be a false flag there or something to happen. You know, it seems funny, like you say, the Patriot movement, and it's the New England Patriots, not just Patriots. Think about it, New England Patriots.
Well, everybody is
What?
all interested in the Justin Timberlake halftime show, and that just goes to tell you just how important, or how the basically America and is about anything that's really relevant and important that has to do with the future and the future of the country, because they don't care. The majority really does not care. Uh, you, they just rather watch Kardashians and play on their phones and listen to music and watch football. And when it comes down to it, there's only a handful of people in the United States that really gives a damn about what happens. And that handful is not getting heard. And there's a reason, because our voices have been stifled. A lot of people are starting to because it's been inundated so much on the media and everything else, any sort of media, filling with lies and embellishments, filling it with the moral issues rather than facts. Like that article you wrote. Out of that was a very good article, but that you read, not wrote, the one that you read in the beginning. It was a very good article. The only one problem I have was that the writer had to mention that one dude had an extramarital affair. Who the hell cares? That's not the issue, But they fill information like that to give you negative connotations about certain people. If you go and give them a negative view of something, of their moral ethics, you're more to not like that person, regardless of their work ethic, what they do, how good they are. I mean, like when Trump said, when he first came out as president, it was all over the news. He's that back in the 80s, he was quoted saying, "Grab him by the girly bits," or something like that. He wasn't president then, but that was a moral issue to blasphemize and make people look at Trump in a negative way. It was not fact. He said it in the 80s, but this is 2018. Lots of people did a lot of stupid things and said a lot of stupid things in the 80s. So, all the negative prejudgment reflects on a lot of things.
What I don't get, Lopi, is I thought it was Bill Clinton that liked grabbing women by the girly bits, wasn't it? Or am I mistaken?
No, he just like them getting grabbing him by his girly bits in the Oval Office.
Bill Clinton's got girly bits. Wow, cool.
Well, ask Monica Lewinsky.
Bloody hell, if I'd known that, I'd have voted for him.
Well, he's got point anglers, I think.
He'd have made you a non-political atheist, Jeff, or something. I don't know. That's yeah. I did try and skim over that bit, but I thought, no, I'll read the article. It's because it doesn't really have much relevance in today's day and age. But they want to still try and, on the Russian thing, is the old, whiter than white family morals, instead of this, open society, screw around, don't worry about mums and dads, just have babies of all colours and get on with it type thing today, which seems to me. There's one thing I would say though, Lopi. There's people don't know what they've got. They don't give a shit about America. They just want to go and watch their game and that. I've read that and I understand that. But I tell you what, there'll be people that'll be coming in that'll say, if you don't want this country, we'll take it. We'll have it.
Well,
and when those people take over, I'm sure there's 10 million Somalis and perhaps 25 million Sudanese and perhaps a few million Eritreans and perhaps certainly a few million of Congolese that will say, I tell you what, if you don't want this country, we'll have it. And that's the day.
Look at Europe. Look at North London. Look at, that's proof.
Yep.
London now has a quote unquote Muslim area where white people and non-Muslims can't go, supposedly, without being harassed. And I'm sorry to say, it's been London since day dot. It wasn't Muslim before. The Moors didn't make it up to England.
Yeah, but when does it stop being a city? When does it stop being a country? When the people no longer care for it. And then I don't care about this, we're going to have no countries. We're going to have one big new world order. No barriers. We're all going to live on the love together. And we're all going to mingle in a big melting pot and come out a nice chocolate colour. And we're all going to get on and we're going to have a nice government that's going to look after the whole world. And it's all going to be utopia. I think
it sounds exactly what Hitler said in Mein Kampf.
Yeah, but guys, you forget the advantages of having a nice big Muslim population. They don't eat pork products, so they wouldn't be eating any of the spam. We'd have all the spam for ourselves. We could have spam all day long.
That would be a positive, at least one positive, Jeff, I'm sure. Oh, and your bacon sarnies and your sausages and all that lot. Don't forget all that side of it and everything.
You forget when Merkel opened up her borders, almost at her legs. When she opened up the borders to the Middle East and everything, first thing that they wanted was for them to ban bratwurst. I'm sorry, bratwurst is the quintessential German food. It's the sausage, that everybody eats. When you think of Germany, you think of bratwurst, beer, and pretzel. And how could they? It just baffles me. It really does. Why these people who come in think that country needs to change for them? It's not that way. But if we go to their countries, we're supposed to change and be respectful of their laws and their rules and do things by their way. No, they wouldn't have it. If we decided we wanted to eat pork and eat out in public in Ramadan in Dubai, we'll get arrested and put in jail. Now, isn't that a bit hypocritical?
Lopi, that reminds me of a joke. I have a severe fear of German sausages. Yes, I fear the worst. Worst spelt W-U-R-S-T. Sorry, just my warped sense of humor.
Yes, I know. But you get what I'm saying?
Yes, Lopi. And well, once these people get in, who pick up a country from the people who don't really want a country, and well, I tell you what, let's let them do an exchange. You know, let's get, if people don't want the country anymore, they're not interested, and they feel so much white guilt because of their forefathers and their parents and their parents' parents. Why don't they do an exchange with some Somalians and some Eritreans and some Kenyans and some Congolese and some Sudanese? And West Africa's quite nice, I hear, where your life is worth little more than a grain of sand. And let them do it. Why don't they do an exchange? I think that'd be a good idea, don't you think?
Well, why don't they go and start taking care of their country? If they're not happy with, they're saying, oh, our country is dry and dead and we can't grow anything. Yeah, you could if you took care of it. You had some irrigation, if you did plumbing. There's so many of these Middle Eastern countries, they have very minimal things. Some places don't even have electricity.
Well, I think that's
And
the
yet,
whole plan. I think that's the whole plan, like people, what they've been trying to do with the EU. It's all been done purposely. Everything's been done purposely by these complete absolute tyrannical nutcase jobs that want to actually bring in half the African continent in Europe and push out the indigenous people. And if the indigenous people really don't care anyway, I mean, they're probably going to say, well, and they need to keep the Ponzi scheme going. They need to keep this monetary Ponzi scheme going to the point where the people that come in have a better quality of life, standard of living. They don't have to kick around in the sand all day to find half an apple to feed on, right? They come here, and all of a sudden they've got this, and they don't care whether the powers that be make the numbers out of thin air and whatever. They couldn't care less as long as they get a better standard of living and life out of it compared to where they've come from. And that's what they want. That's what the powers that be want, so that they can bring in a system of credit where it's just literally computer numbers, centralized computer numbers. They won't care, and they'll fight to the death to keep that. Once they're in, you'll never get it back, and what will happen to society and cultures will be destroyed across, never to be seen again. I think that's a sad thing, but there we are. So anyway, let me see if I can get PJ. Are you there, PJ? Have you got something to say on this?
I'm here. I've not got anything with me to say, no articles or anything, no stuff. I've been listening in.
Okie dokie. Well, there we are. What can I say? Let me just play another interview. I think we'll get on with that. Not interview. What am I talking about? It's not. It's just I'll read another article, and it's sort of going over a bit what we're saying from the first one. I'll bring up my screen. That'd be me. And this actually, Lopi, underlines the fact what we were saying about the Liberals, where what's going on. Everything's changed so much that the Liberals have become fascists in a way. But anyway, let me go to this here. I'm not sure. No, I don't think that's sharing. 1 minute. No, I've got to press my little green onion arrow. Let's see. Right, here we go.
Yeah, that's working.
All right, cheers, Jeff. This is another RT article. I read a lot of RT because I don't look at much else, to be honest. A little bit biased. I don't listen to CNN, CNBC, and that's just total shit. If that was the only thing out there, I'd switch off altogether, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I'm not saying that RT spreads the truth. Who spreads the truth? What is the truth? But their articles seem a bit more balanced, although lacking at times certain things. But this kind of underlines the point I was saying, I think, Jeff. BJ says, Democrats love George Bush and the FBI now. What happened? This is by Danielle Ryan for RT. So there we go, Danielle. A majority of Democrats now have a favourable view of former President George W. Bush, and 3 times as many Democrats have a great deal of trust in the FBI as Republicans do. Oh, how easily people forget. It would be difficult to find a greater indicator of the fickle nature of politics or the hypocrisy of the party faithful than these 2 polls. Democrats find Donald Trump so utterly loathsome that the man who illegally launched the catastrophic Iraq War and signed the Patriot Act, stripping Americans of their privacy in the name of fighting terrorism, is enjoying the rehabilitation of his image in the eyes of the party that so vehemently opposed him all those years he was once in office. Loathsome as Trump may be, his sins thus far don't come close to the list of atrocities committed by Bush. In fact, Trump's sins haven't even come close to those committed by his Democratic predecessor, Barack Obama, whose humanitarian bombing, to take one example, helped to utterly destroy Libya, once the richest countries in Africa, now a failed state and a haven for the slave trade. The only thing that changes from one US administration to the next is the packaging and the rhetoric. Human nature being what it is, people respond to the packaging far more than they do the policy. The kind of twisted and dishonest partisanship makes it easy for the Democrats or the Republicans to shout war criminal at one man and cheer on another for doing essentially the same thing on a different day. Francis Fukuyama, the American political scientist and the author of the decisive books The End of History and The Last Man, wrote in 2015, compared to Donald Trump, George W. Bush looks like a paragon of statesmanship. To The View co-host Joe Bear, a supposedly dyed-in-the-wool Democrat who has written a whole book about her hatred of Trump, gushed last year, I love George Bush now, Bear's colleagues on the panel, Sonny Houston, praised the more thoughtful Bush for not instituting a Muslim travel ban after 9/11 attacks. Evidently, staring wars and actually killing hundreds or thousands of Muslims is thoughtful and a lesser sin than temporarily banning their entry into your country. What has Bush done now to deserve such outpourings of admiration? Not much, really. All he had to do was offer some tepid criticism of Trump's presidency a few times. He said he wasn't fond of the racism and name-calling of the Trump era, and suddenly we're supposed to be nostalgic for Bush's years. He also paints nice portraits and rescued a dog, more deeds which seem to have helped absolve him of his sins in the eyes of the liberals like Ellen DeGeneres and Jimmy Kimmel. Polls like these prove that level-headed people have known forever there really is not much difference, morally speaking, between Democrats and Republicans, despite both parties trying to pass themselves off as paragons of decency. Don't get me wrong, I'm not painting all Democrats or Republicans with the same brush, but your average partisan is more than willing to whip out the rose-tinted glasses while trying to rationalise support for the preferred candidate, who sometimes is incredibly similar to other options. When it comes to Bush, it isn't just his military misadventures and war crimes. Democrats seem to have forgotten either. What about its inefficient and arguably racist response to Hurricane Katrina, or the CIA's horrendous torture regime overseen by his administration? Bush's detrimental environmental policies were as disastrous as Trump's are, but those are seemingly forgotten too. Then there's the attacks on the media. Bush might espouse the importance of the press these days, but he wasn't shy about bombing journalists during his tenure in office. These are not things you easily forget if your opposition to them is sincere. As journalist Glenn Greenwald pointed out on Twitter, Democrats' newfound love for the FBI is just as confusing as their Bush nostalgia. The FBI is an institution which has been targeting young, vulnerable Muslims with learning disabilities and mental health issues to entrap them by leading them into terror plots and sending them to prison for decades, Greenwald wrote on Twitter. And the last bit here. When the FBI is once again seen as a vehicle to punish its political enemies, Young Turks journalist Michael Tracy wrote, Republican opinion on the agency will flip overnight. We know this is true already when James Comey announced the reopening of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email scandal. Comey was cheered by the Republicans for that decision and despised by Clinton clan devotees. Now that the FBI is investigating alleged collusion between Trump's presidential campaign and Russian officials, suddenly the Democrats have discovered a newfound faith in the agency. Because reality doesn't matter, policy does matter. Policy doesn't matter. Sticking with your guy and winning is what matters. The fact that the Democrats find it so easy to whitewash Bush is terrible domestic policies, and his murderous foreign policy highlights the near total absence of integrity and intellectually honesty in politics today. And none of that has anything to do with Donald Trump. So there we are. I thought that was quite an interesting article. And it pretty much outlines what we were thinking or trying to say earlier on. But yes.
Oh, I've got to say, Stav, you know, knowing with my knowledge of Middle Eastern lifestyles and cultures, you have to remember that all Muslims have to live for an entire year on 1 grain of rice. So the most humanitarian thing we can do is bomb them out of existence as heavily as possible. And it's the kindest thing we can do. You know, I just thought I'd put that point across.
Well, there you are. Is that a solution, Lopi?
Can't beat a good human.
Well, I thought that article, although it was well written, it was very biased, and I didn't see a lot of facts in it in reference to. I mean, yes, the Democrats are as wishy-washy as the tide, but I mean, in fact, during this State of the Union address, there was a few Democrats who motioned to stand up and clap, but because they were in with the rest of the Democrats, they just kind of acted like they were straightening themselves. They didn't fully stand up and clap for the president. And what gets me though is the utter disrespect and disloyalty for the position. You don't have to like the man in the position of the presidency, because it's the position that is the utmost important thing for this country. You know, the people fail to remember he's the one who ultimately signs the paper, but it's the Congress, it's the Senate and the House that makes all the laws, that makes the decision. The president only has executive orders and veto. He doesn't get to go and say, oh, today is going to be, nobody can have any ice cream except chocolate ice cream. That's the law. He cannot do that. It has to go through the Congress just like everything else. And the negativity and the hate towards Trump and towards, you know, past Republican presidents is astronomical. That article just proves it, you know, because one minute a lot of Democrats are like, oh, I hate him, let's turn feather him, and the next minute, oh, he adopted a puppy. And in retrospect, that lady, Joy Behar, is the biggest airhead. I swear to God, if she was a balloon, I'd pop her. She's on this television show with Whoopi Goldberg and a couple old other old crones with talking about all the time. I used to watch it when Barbara Walters was on it, because that used to be her show. But I quit watching it because all it was, I hate this, I hate that. Here's my opinion. Here, you have to agree with me. It's a bunch of bickering hens with permanently stuck on PMS with their hate towards the president. And every single one of them said, well, if he becomes president, I'm moving. Well, ladies, why ain't your bags packed, and why the hell haven't you gone? That's what I'm saying. Sorry.
It's because they're full of hot air, aren't they?
They're
talk is
wishy-washy.
cheap. Yeah, talk is cheap.
Like the tide.
Yeah, my dear old dad used to say to me, talk is cheap. It's very cheap. But today, it seems like it's a nuclear weapon. It seems now, by saying certain things now, if you don't say against that, we'll have you in jail, we'll throw you away. It's a load of old trap, really. I played a little bit of devil's advocate tonight, the way I've read the articles and that sort of thing, but I tried to sort of put it over so that, people can come out with how they feel about it. And it's one of this, it's one of that, they're in it, and this way, it's that way.
Oh, I'd like to play devil's advocate tonight, Stav, because there are all these people complaining about lack of democratic choice and all this, moaning about presidents this and prime ministers that. And I think, well, they are pretty democratic, and we get plenty of choice. We can choose whether we're bombed by nuclear bombs or thermobaric bombs or Exocet missiles or napalm, or sprayed with nice pesticides and chemicals. And, I think it's pretty, I think there's a lot of choice to be had,
I think personally they should all just go on Oprah Winfrey show and just, get it over and done with.
She's going to be the next president, isn't she?
Well, they're saying that she was going to be running. But, I don't like Oprah either. She's too opinionated herself. She hates Trump. She once Oprah got money, she was, it's just I don't like people who tend to force their opinion, and that was it. And what I mean by forcing their opinion, a political opinion, because if you're on a television show, I don't care what you believe in as far as politics. Show me something entertaining. I'm watching you. I'm paying you to entertain me with today's current things, trends, and how to better my house and all this and that. I don't care that you hate President Trump. I don't, or went to dinner with Obama and his wife for the 5th time in a row. I don't care.
I'll tell you who we need for president of the USA. Forget Oprah Winfrey and all that lot. What we need is Arnie Schwarzenegger. He'd terminate you all to death. He'd make George Bush look like a little girl guy.
He's a gay liberal.
But he can't be president because he's not born American.
He's a Nazi.
Terminate your ass, and if he gets chucked out of the White House, he'd say, "I'll be back."
Actually, Schwarzenegger was Austrian. He was not German.
No, but his father was a Nazi.
Was taken over by Germany. during the prior to the Second War, because Austria had a good naval and good generals in the army.
All right, okay. Arnold's out of the question because he's Austrian or whatever. How about Sylvester Stallone? He'd be there as Rambo saying, "He'll blow you away." Huh?
Oh, he can't speak. You couldn't understand what he's saying. Just vote for me. LOPI for president.
No, I don't like Sylvester Stallone because he brought in a fashion, right, that's so old-fashioned and people still wear them today, hoodies. How much longer are we going to put up with those ridiculous bloody things?
Was that when he did his Rocky thing, Rocky Balboa?
Yeah, he did. It's true. It's bloody true. Like, you come and check out when that film was released and when
That
this
70s.
type of stupidity came about, was very much the same time, and you still got it now.
Well, just vote for LOPI. I will put healthcare #1, free healthcare, free education. I will rebuild the education levels where the students actually are learning to learn, to think, and not learn to take the test. I will bring back innovation and job security. I will make sure that every company trains their employee to properly. Healthcare. Oh yeah, I said that. Okay, vote for LOPI.
Vote for LOPI. Healthcare, healthcare, and healthcare.
I think all three of us on here would vote for LOPI. You might get us out of our political atheism, LOPI. Me and
I didn't know LOPI were actually American though. Are you LOPI?
Well, I am a citizen.
There you go.
So you know what? Because I wasn't born here, I don't think I can become president.
Oh well, America's doomed then. They're doomed.
Yeah. Oh bloody hell. Well, yeah. Well, I'm. Well, shit. I can't be voted for anything anywhere.
They'll have to cope with Oprah, I'm afraid. They'll have to get used to it.
I need to have an island to myself where I can be, the queen, and all the animals can live there. Maybe a handful of people to clean up after animals.
If we're going to vote for a real American, shouldn't we be voting for Chief Sitting Bull or, Hiawatha or someone like that?
Yeah, but they're not the original indigenous people.
Oh, they're not? Oh, I didn't know that.
They came from somewhere else, didn't they, LOPI?
Actually,
what they need is a native Indian. That's what they need.
Well, the Native Indians in America came over off the land bridge via Alaska, and they came from Asia. They were partially like my people from Taiwan, Japan, Mongolia, China, and Russia. Is a mixture of that, and that's where the Native American Indians are derivative from.
Yeah, I think what we need to do, LOPI, is to find a piece of amber that's probably 50,000 years old with an insect in it and make that the president.
With an insect?
Yes.
I want my own island. No bugs.
Make it a tick, and then they've got, the real deal.
And I want it in a warm place. Like the
Well, anyway, let's move it on a little bit. I think we've covered the fees. I think seriously, if the one viewer...
What about your jokes,
No, we'll do the jokes another time. Perhaps you want to bring up something on this side of the.
I was going to tell you the joke about the 4 people on an aeroplane. There was an Englishman, a Frenchman, a Mexican, and Donald Trump. I was going to tell you that joke, but don't you want to hear it?
Well, go on then. It is kind of co-related, isn't it?
It's what? Sorry.
Go on. It is. Well, it's got Trump in it, so that's good enough.
Well, they're on this plane, and they haven't. One of the engines cuts out, and so they sling out all the luggage to try and lighten the plane. And then the other engine conks out, and they think, well, how can we make the plane lighter? So they throw out all the seats, and it's still too heavy. So the Englishman steps up and says, "God save the Queen," and he jumps out without a parachute. And then the Frenchman turns up and he says, "Vive la France," and he jumps out. And then Donald Trump steps up and says, "Make America great again," and he chucks the Mexican out.
I'm the only one laughing with you, Jeff. So.
Oh, at least somebody appreciates my warped sense of humour.
It's a joke. Yeah, well, listen, you've got to have a sense of humour today. But you must have it. It's the most important thing today.
My speaker cut out. I missed the punchline.
Tell her it again, Jeff.
Yeah, the punchline, Lopi, was they're all jumping out to try and save the rest of
what did Donald say?
Save the rest of the passengers. They're all jumping out, and Donald Trump steps up at the end and shouts, "Make America great again," and he throws the Mexican out.
Oh, that reminds me. I posted something on Facebook of a picture, and the described it said, "If you're so proud to wave another country's flag in America, why are you so offended to be sent back? Why is it such a bad thing to be sent back there?" And
yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
symbolism.
It's good. It's proud to have pride in where you're born, where you're from. But when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's like when I come to America, I wave the American flag, but I also wave the English flag. And no, I said English flag, not the
Jack, not the Jack.
not Union flag. Yeah, Union Jack. I St. George's Cross all the way. But and I also waved the Taiwanese flag because that's where my origin is. It's all about respect, and it's all about pride, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you take one and spit on the other, that's not right. You shouldn't even be there.
No, exactly. No, absolutely. But we've seen it in this country, and you don't have to go far to see it. Unfortunately, we're so divided. Yeah, we're so the people. Yeah, I can see it all ending in tears anyway if something doesn't happen soon, and it won't be. Nobody's going to get what they think they're going to get, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on. It's not about any of us, unfortunately. It should be, but we know that the world's controllers don't look at it like that. So who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. You never know. We might get taken out by an asteroid. Then nobody wins, do they? And I know PJ would be, well, he may be a bit bothered about that at times, but there we are. So, right, okay. Well, I think we've pretty much exhausted this tonight. I don't know if you want any final words, and we'll call it a night. I think tonight we've done an hour and 10 minutes, which is quite good on the FISA memo, and yeah, we'll watch this space and see what expands from there. But I got a feeling that a lot of these people that talk about, shame Ron couldn't make it on tonight. He'd have given us the lowdown on the ins and outs of it, really, and what's to follow and what's to come, hopefully. And would it be a surprise if he did actually put somebody in jail for life? Somebody really right up there, somebody like Obama or Clinton, or I mean, what would you say? Actually, just put that to you, Lopi. What happens if you got up tomorrow morning, you open the newspaper, and it says Clinton gets 40 years in Gitmo? I mean, would you actually
I'd probably die of a heart attack.
I'd say it was probably a body double or a clone.
Oh, there's no pleasing you, Jeff. I know that. Yeah.
I just think I was still asleep.
Well, let's see what happens, guys, and we'll keep an eye on it. I think there's going to be a lot more outside events beyond the politics that will probably come more to a shock than perhaps that does come from politics. It's a very fast-changing world, and something may happen outside of that makes this all totally irrelevant. So,
well,
let's not forget that.
I was jesting about the body double or the clone, but actually they do use a lot of body doubles and clones, these people, and I swear to God, they escape. I expect they did that with Hitler and all sorts. That apparently they all escape. They all get out of it and put somebody else's head on the chopping block, make it look as real as possible.
Well, they normally do, don't they? We know certain leaders years ago foiled assassination attempts. Adolf Hitler was one. He had a double, didn't he? I think most of them do have.
Saddam Hussein had loads of body doubles and things like that. Yeah, dozens of them or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I wonder if Donald Trump's got one or two, I should think. What's the name of the American actor guy who takes the proverbial?
It'd be pretty hard to get a guy like Donald Trump with his sort of toupee or hairdo or whatever it is, except for maybe Kim Jong-un.
Is his name Baldwin?
Kim Jong-un.
You found it. That were a good way of comparing both Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. You could do that if you tried.
Isn't it? Well, they both got funny hairdos, haven't they, at least?
Anyway, well, okay, then if we're all finished, I'll say thanks very much, and yeah, let's go again next week. But I'm not going to pick the topic. I'm just going to sit back next week. I'm going to leave it to you guys to pick the topic. So there we are.
Got to be spam,
so with that, thanks for coming on, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers, guys and gals.
Cheers, Dad. Cheers, guys.
Take care, mate. Cheers.